Hello Tigers and welcome to a new video. Shoutouts to Lee for suggesting that phrase. This is the Sagat guide. I'm gonna try to cover the simple things that Sagat has, but also the more complicated things. If you find something that is not here, or you require something specifically, let me know in the comments. Lights are very simple for this character. They don't shine necessarily in any way. Crouching light kick being 5 frames, 4 frames, crouching light punch, standing light punch 5 frames. It is what you expect. -3, -1, -3. I'm gonna talk more in depth about the standing light kick and the standing light punches in one of the next sections, but for now, just remember that this has a lot of range, and the standing light kick is 7 frames, -4, very similar to Zangief's standing light kick. It can be cancelled into specials and also DRCs and supers. However, nothing about the standing light kick, at least on block, is real. And in fact, some of the things on hit are not real. This is your longest and fastest light at 7 frames. Moving on, you have forward light kick in the light section. This is a command normal that is 18 frames. You'll see that is pretty freaking slow. -3. The usage of this low is mainly to open up opponents because it is pretty decent on hit at +3. That means if you ever hit someone with this raw, you can be close enough for a throw if you do it correctly, like over here. Or you can use a combination of lights to go for a frame trap, something like this. That being said, you move forwards and you're -3, therefore if you want to do something over here, most Sagat players try to parry or they just hold the -3, so be careful how you use it. Mediums are somewhat interesting for Sagat. You have crouching medium punch at 7 frames. This thing is safe. It seems like it's better than it actually is. I would say it's a very selective whiff punisher, and overall it's a button that you might need to skip more than you think. You have the standing medium kick, which is one of your pokes, long range, 11 frames, safe. It has a target combo that is somewhat difficult to hit confirm, with the standing medium kick and standing heavy kick. At -8, it's not necessarily the best. However, if you get the hit, it gives you a nice +38. It is not cancelable into anything, and at 11 frames, recovering in 19 frames, it's somewhat weak to the eyes. Which is the same thing that can be said about crouching medium kick. 9 frames, -2, again safe in the same way as standing medium kick being -3. This is -2. It is super disjointed, but the range is somewhat iffy for Sagat. You might think you can get more crouching medium kicks that you actually get. It is still a button that you need to use, mostly after drive rush, because the reward by itself is pretty bad. Just a +4, and you need to be super close to actually confirm. Of course, with the drive rush, you can get a nice +8. Overall, it's a somewhat underwhelming poke. You have an overhead at 22 frames. It's lower than other overheads in the game. If you're close, you'll see that you're -2. That means that everything applies, or everything that is normal to overheads applies over here, which means a drive rush overhead is +2, and you're not in range for throw, by the way. You need to microstep. And on hit, you get a nice combo being +7. You can go into crouching medium punch. Of course, at +2 on block. You need to use lights to start your offense, which is gonna look something like that. It has another target combo, and this is gonna be interesting because, well, technically there are 2 target combos. Both of them start with crouching medium punch. You have crouching medium punch, crouching heavy punch, which is cancelable into specials. You'll see that I'm not getting technically the combo there, and if I get a counter hit, I also don't get it. This is specifically for punish counter or drive rush. It is pretty hit confirmable, to be honest. This target combo is very special because it will give you safe jumps. And of course, this is very minus at -14. The other target combo is a little bit more interesting. It is crouching medium punch, standing heavy kick, also punishable, -10. However, on hit, you always get the combo. This doesn't cancel into specials nor DRC. Only supers. It might sound like this is a bad thing, but actually crouching medium punch, standing heavy kick is pretty optimal in some scenarios. We're gonna talk about that in the combo section. The best button by far, and the one that I decided to leave at the end, is standing medium punch. This button is everything for Sagat. Being +2, of course with drive rush +6, which means this next one is basically a jail with this, and it's definitely the main button to use in almost every single pressure we have with Sagat. With a +2, you have a frame trap, something like this, or you can use 2 of them. You can use 1, microstep, microstep, microstep. It is that important for Sagat to use this button. On hit, you do get a nice +6. If there's any button that you need to abuse, it's this one. Finally, we have the heavies. And heavies as mediums have some ups and downs. We're gonna start with the standing heavy punch, which is -5, insane range to be honest, and it has a target combo attached to it with a confirmation window of 19 frames. On hit, it doesn't give you anything, but you can go into the target combo I mentioned, landing you a plus 39, one extra frame compared to the standing medium kick, standing heavy kick target combo. Besides that, it's pretty underwhelming. It's weak to the eyes because you'll see that this is 15 frames and recovering 25. Even in dry brush, it's very hard to get something. Crouching heavy punch is another 11 framer. Interestingly enough, this does combo into specials and DRC. It has a few issues, however, even though it can cancel into stuff, there are some that are hidden or locked away behind properties. For example, Crouching Heavy Punch doesn't go naturally into Heavy Tiger Nexus. You require not only a counter hit, you require a punish counter or a dry brush Crouching Heavy Punch. This has a huge gap, even the OD version. Another 11 framer, the Sweep, as you might have expected, is -12. It has decent range, more range than it seems. It doesn't look like it has that much range, but it is actually pretty decent. It's not Zangief level of range. That means there are certain things that you won't be able to punish even with these 11 framers, so keep that in mind. Standing Heavy Kick is a weird button. Standing Heavy Kick is also -5. It has 2 hits. Both hits are cancelable into specials or drivers or supers. The issue with this thing is that it's your only re-stand, because Sagat has an issue with people crouching, and you'll see that my second hit is not working. I have to re-stand people in order to get certain combos. Even though both hits are cancelable, only the first hit without punish counter or drive rush is actually the one you're gonna use in most combos. That means even though you can cancel into the second hit, you'll see that my Tiger Nexus doesn't from the second hit. That being said, you can cancel into other things depending on what you want to do. You can do a heavy TP, for example, without issues, or a Tiger Knee. You're gonna see it more in combos. It's a strange button. Situational anti-air 2. I think I might need to cover this one later. For now, just so you know that if you're crouching, it's cancelable, so you can go into dry brush or super or whatever. This is gonna be a button that we're gonna need to cover very in-depth, because this basically changes how Sagat plays in this game. There's a lot of things, weird things attached to these buttons. Just so you know, the hitbox is divided into 2 parts, and the final button is forward heavy kick. This one is a huge high. You'll see that even if someone is crouching in my face, this whiffs absolutely high. That being said, it gives you a +7 normal hit and also +4 on block. It works as an anti-air. You can juggle after it. It's very useful in combos. Anti-airing is very difficult. You can get some jumps with the forward heavy kick. If you want to do something like a driver forward heavy kick and the opponent is crouching, you're gonna get destroyed. It is also not cancelable into anything, which makes it weak to the eyes. Yeah. I actually juggle here with jumping medium punch. Jumping heavy kick, same thing. Depending on the angle, you can get medium DP. And the final one that is being what you expect. Good range. Very plus depending on how you hit, of course. Very standard jumping heavy attack. And those are the 3 buttons you're gonna use the most. Crouching light punch. It's pretty decent if you want to use it to stop someone from just punching your face. However, the range is not the best for a huge guy like this one, where it's your main defensive poke and you need to use it in a lot of scenarios. Jails into standing light punch, you can use it like this, just to create a little bit of a distance, and if you need even more of a breather, you can go into the light version of the Tiger Shot and you're mostly gonna be safe. But be careful, if you do it too close, like this, you're gonna be -7. And some characters can punish you here. So the best thing you can do is space yourself more with either 3 or 2, depending on where you are. And this will leave you mostly safe. That being said, people can DI here. So it's not gonna be 100% safe, but it's your best defensive option. Offensive poking is a little bit different. You need to use 2 main buttons besides your standing light kick. Standing medium kick, as I said, is weak to the eyes in the same way standing heavy punch is weak to the eye. However, these 2 buttons are your longest pokes and you do need to use them. You'll see that Sagat doesn't necessarily break the dry meter as often as other characters. But if you consider standing heavy punch, you'll see that then you start doing heavy dry damage. This is your burnout button. Standing medium kick can work in the same way, but being weak to the eyes makes it a little bit of a hard one to use overall. Whenever you play Sagat, you need to understand that the eyes are gonna hit you. Standing medium kick is your main offensive button. You can walk and poke. The final button you're gonna use very offensively is a standing light kick. If you DRC, after the standing light kick on block, nothing is real. It cancels very naturally and without gap into the low tiger shot. Depending on where you are, this can leave a gap or not. You can somewhat solve this issue by using the low tiger shot and be completely safe but you're using meter. You can technically cancel into the heavy OD tiger shot, but the gap is huge. But you're gonna break the ice. Being -4, of course, is not meant to be used up here. You need to space your standing light kick. In fact, standing light kick can be used as a measuring tool. So if you know that if you're hitting with the tip of the standing light kick, like this, your light tiger knee will be safe. Or even plus if they're crouching. Whiff punishers are mostly the same as your offensive pokes, but there are some differences. Let me start with the standing medium kick. A standing medium kick, as you know, has a target combo attached to it. There are very specific scenarios where the second part of the target combo can whiff. You need to be careful with this thing. That being said, you still need to use it, and you do have Oki. You also can use it to stop drive rushes, so it's a very important button overall. A standing heavy punch, you can use it to whiff punish a lot of things that are very slow. Mainly standing heavy punches, crouching heavy kicks, or any target combo that involves a heavy, you can mostly whiff punish with this thing very easily. Crouching medium punch is where things become interesting. Even though crouching medium punch has good range, you need to be relatively close to the opponent in order to use it the most. So most of the time you're gonna use 2 standing medium punches. If someone whiffs, then you go for the crouching medium punch. Or if you do a sequence like this, you wait for them to press a button and then react with your crouching medium punch. It can be used in certain scenarios if someone is whiffing a long button and you don't know what to use. Crouching medium punch is usually the button you're gonna use the most. And also remember that if you're whiff punishing with it, you can buffer your heavy punch. So if you get the punish counter, you're always gonna get the follow-up. A standing light kick is a good whiff punisher, but you have to be careful. Standing light kick doesn't combo into anything. That being said, it can combo into lights if you get it counter hit. This is pretty underwhelming, so most of the time you're gonna use it as a buffer into something else, but if you really need to drive rush, use it as a whip punisher, because in punish counter scenarios you can go into mediums. So it's not terrible, but you're using a lot of meter for that whip punish. Therefore, it's just better to use it as a buffer into medium DP, or OD low tiger shot, or regular low tiger shot. The final one is crouching heavy punch. Remember what I said about this, not comboing? Well, if you use it as a whip punisher, you can combo naturally into the heavy version of Tiger Nexus. There are certain scenarios where if you whiff punch with crouching heavy punch and you buffer into the heavy Tiger Nexus, you will whiff, because only the second part will come out. And the first one is the one that is required for the combo. Other than that, you can just DRC. Same thing can be said of all the cancelable normals Sagat has. Nexus has 3 strengths: light at 17 frames, 20 frames, and 28 frames. Both light and medium are -5. Heavy, the slowest one, is -3, and the OD one, 23 frames. It is still slower than the medium version. The Tiger Nexus has 3 follow-ups: the forward light kick, forward medium kick, and forward heavy kick. You can activate those from any version into any of the follow-ups. So for example, if you want to use the heavy first as the starter, you can still use the forward light kick for the overhead. The overhead forward light kick is -5, and you are absolutely punishable. The second one is forward medium kick, being +4 on block, launcher on hit if they're crouching, and this will whiff. There's a mix-up between using the overhead, which beats 4 frames, or the high that is plus. Heavy version is mostly reserved for combos. It's very hard for you to have enough frames to do something like that. You will be stopped by crouching light punches. In fact, crouching light punches and DPs can be used to stop almost every single option you have. Crouching light punch beats the heavy and medium follow-ups, while losing to the light one. DPs can beat all follow-ups, but not the starter one. And the starter one is -5, so a patient opponent can just delay parry, delay crouching medium, crouching light punch, delay DP. It's a mix-up of Sagat. It's not the strongest. There are some good stuff about Tiger Nexus that we're gonna cover in the combos and Oki section, but it's Just on block, I would say it's pretty underwhelming. You almost always want this thing to connect. Tiger Knee is another interesting thing. Sagat is a very curious fellow. You can make it safe if you space yourself correctly at 0, for example, but if someone is blocking when you go for the Tiger Knee and you hit with the later active frames, you're always gonna be plus. That's not to say you cannot be plus when you do it standing, but your spacing has to be absolutely perfect. But most of the time, if someone is standing and you go for the Tiger Knee, you're gonna be minus or safe at best. If you do it up close and the first hit connects with the opponent, you're always gonna be minus, with the exception of the OD one, which is gonna be -2. No matter how this thing hits. It is not as strong as it seems, but this is gonna be your dash, especially the light version, because as you know, Sagat doesn't have the best forward dash or back dash, so most of the time you're gonna be closing the gap with a Tiger Knee. You can DI on reaction, there's a sound cue for the Tiger Knee, so there's a lot of things the opponent can do. The light DP, Tiger Uppercut is 5 frames, 10 frames, and a crazy 18 frames. This is pretty wild. Depending on how the opponent jumps, you have to recognize if you can use light DP or medium DP, and you have to do it fast. In some cases, even those 2 DPs don't work, and then you have to use back heavy punch. I'm gonna talk more about the anti-airs in the section for anti-airing, but just so you know, it is not easy to anti-air with this guy. There are gonna be cases where your best anti-air will be perfect powering. The OD version, invincible to everything, at 8 frames makes it extremely slow too. The medium version, however, you can use it in most combos and it's very consistent, so there's that. We're gonna cover the Tiger Shot in the section about zoning. You have 3 supers with Sagat. The first one is invincible to strikes, but not fireballs. It's gonna be a chip tool, a combo tool, more than anything. And you can wake up with it, but be careful because at 13 frames, a lot of characters can just bait it with just a driver, scorcher, light punch, or standing light punches. Your super level 2 is very interesting. The first one is the most damaging one. The raw one. I'm not pressing anything. There's a side switch version, pressing back. This is +7. However, your Oki is very lackluster. You have a down version, which is the Oki version. You're gonna be +19. You have a few things you can do here. We're gonna cover them in the Oki section. And you have the launcher one, which you can do by folding forwards. This one scales like crazy. This one is very specific. It's only used in situations where you need to build more super meter or you need a very specific combo to kill. It's probably the worst one of all. Finally, the super level 3 is what you expect. Not much to say. Both super level 2 and super level 3 are invincible to fireballs. However, super level 2 can whiff, so I recommend super level 3 if you really need to use it in the fireball war. Overall, the pack of supers is pretty underwhelming for Sagat. Super level 3 is the one you're gonna use the most. It's very damaging and it's gonna give you the edge in a lot of situations because you're technically +15 after the whole animation, so you do have Oki. Compared to the raw version of super level 2, you have way better Oki, and super level 1, well, depending on where you hit, can be a very underwhelming super or probably the difference in the corner. Zoning with Sagat is very unique in this version. You have a lot of versions of Tiger Shot, but not as many as before. You have the light version, which is probably the worst one. This is 14 frames. The recovery is insanely high. This means that if someone reacts to this fireball, and it's very easy to react to, by the way, you're mostly not gonna be able to anti-air. It is the one that you have to use the least. This is the fireball that you're gonna use very specifically against characters like Marisa or Zangief who have upper body armor. This will beat them. Against certain fireballs like Terry or Yuri, you also have to use this thing. It's extremely situational. The medium one is 16 frames. It recovers relatively fast at 42 frames. That means you can use it to set up your anti-air and also moves very slowly. This is a high, which means they can crouch this fireball. That being said, it's the most special one of all your Tiger Shots because this one, for the speed, technically a poke, or that's how I see it. That means if you do it close, you're always gonna be +3, and you can be even more plus. That means this is the fireball you're gonna use most of the time to set up something. The heavy Tiger Shot, 12 frames, super fast, again another high. Not much to say about this one. You're not gonna be plus if you do it up close, but you space it like this. You can be +1, +2, so it's not terrible. The OD low fireball is the first of your 2 OD fireballs. It's a 2-hit fireball. You do recover slower compared to your medium high and heavy high tiger shots. It's mostly used to stop drive rushes and to break other fireballs that are single hit. The other OD tiger shot, with both medium and heavy you get that one, which is 21 frames, incredibly slow startup, which makes it very hard to even use it in block strings. Since it's so slow, I can get punished. You have to be very careful with this thing. In Burnout though, you can get a little bit cheeky with that thing. It has its uses. It's a fireball that you're mostly gonna use in combos or to break a fireball into super low one, because it combos from anywhere. You can do it on reaction. He is no longer a character that relies on zoning. In fact, I would say he needs to be closer. The way you structure your zoning is mostly using first your medium tiger shot. I know, it's a high. You want them to block, or you want them to crouch. From that point onwards, you need to decide if the opponent is throwing fireballs or not. If the opponent doesn't have a fireball character, or they're just too scared to throw fireballs, you slowly start walking forwards with the medium fireball. Remember, it's a high, but this is the one that's always going to be plus, and you're going to recover fast enough to create a situation where you can go for an anti-air. Be careful, of course, with the characters that have moves that are low. Bison, who can just sweep from one side to the other, or the command sweep of Kimberly or Dalsim. Since the move is slow, you can lock the opponent in place with the OD heavy tiger shot. From this point onwards, you can use another medium tiger shot or even a high one. You'll notice by this point that I'm only using medium, heavy, and the OD heavy. Where can I use the low one? Well, as I said, the low one is situational, but the one you're gonna use definitely the most in every single matchup is the low OD one. Let me show you an example of zoning and how it looks. You have to use a combination of your slow high and your OD low. It's important to note if the opponent is in burnout, you can use this to create a more or less perfect scenario for you, because you can do this. And this is very hard to survive. And of course you can do something like that and chip the opponent. Full screen, you're not gonna be punished. Of course, be careful with the specific anti-fireball tools like JP Spike, or fireballs that are just way better than yours like Ryu with Engine Charge or Guile. Let me show you something curious about Super Level 2 of Rashid against Sagat. Rashid can react to your Super Level 1. You can use the OD one, cancel into the Super Level 1, and basically your Super will go through Rashid. Super Level 2. Very unique, I guess. Sagat anti-air jump game is very difficult. Let's go one by one. Let's start with the most consistent ones. The light DP is your fastest one, at 5 frames. This can whiff, depending on the kind of jump the opponent is going for. Medium DP is more consistent, but it's 10 frames and it moves forwards. The issue with his anti-airs is basically the speed, the hitbox, and how much he moves forwards. The final one is heavy DP, and this one has crazy range, but it's mostly used for combos. Let's start with the weird ones. Back heavy punch. As you can see, back heavy punch tends to whiff, or trade sometimes. The problem with this button is that it's divided into 2 sections of active frames. The first one is 8 frames, and starts with the horizontal hitbox, and then it moves to the actual vertical one at frame 11, 12, 13. And the 2 best ones are the last 2 active frames, frames 14 and 15. Depending on the kind of trade with back heavy punch, you can get super low one. The other thing you can do if you don't trade is to go for the medium fireball and then go into a drive rush. Or you can hold the heavy DP. That one is probably the easiest. The issue is that the back heavy punch is not consistent at all. I don't actively recommend using back heavy punch unless someone is jumping in your face. I still prefer light DP for those things, and even light DP is the one you're gonna use for the crosscuts. The other 2 also vary depending on where the opponent is jumping, if they're jumping with a button. Let's talk about forward heavy kick. This one is actually excellent in terms of the hitbox, but at 16 frames and the giant step he takes before going to the move makes it very bad. If you do get it, you can get super level 1 or other conversions depending on range. This is mostly used if the opponent is back jumping from any of your frame traps. You need a lot of plus frames to get this though. Compared to how it was in the previous games, this one is really lackluster. I would recommend against using it unless you have a super hard read on someone who is neutral jumping like Ed or Honda. Standing heavy kick is a weird one. You're either gonna trade or just downright lose. However, if you hit someone with the first part of the anti-air, you're gonna get some combos. This is extremely situational. If you hit someone with the last part, you're not gonna get anything. And even if you do get the first part, sometimes you can go into the wrong conversion and completely whiff your combo. Establishing Sagat pressure is very important. There's one button that is notorious for this. It is +2 on block, 6 frames of startup, and it recovers in 15 frames. It is your best button without drive rush in order for you to pressure the opponent. There are many ways to do this. I'm going to show you the weaknesses and the strengths of each one. One is just pressing standing medium punch again. If the opponent happens to press something, that trade is +10. You can use your crouching medium punch in order to continue the combo. One thing that people do is also throwing, but you cannot just throw. You need to do a micro-step throw. This loses 2 buttons. But you still need to establish very early that you're willing to throw the opponent, because you don't have strong lows. The other option is to threaten the opponent with just constant standing medium punches by micro-stepping. In the same way as the throw, you will lose 2 buttons, specifically crouching light punches, or 84-framer. If the opponent respects your second standing medium punch, your third one will connect, but you will get nothing. You can also use a crouching medium punch over here. Crouching medium punch is 7 frames, so there's a 5-frame gap. 2 standing medium punches into crouching medium punch will trade with 4-framers. One way to beat this situation is to use a standing medium punch, and then instead of going for crouching medium punch, you go for standing light punch. This spacing is pretty good for crouching medium punch. You will beat 4-framers here. If you go for the Tiger Nexus medium, they can parry, or they can also use a reversal. Therefore, if you want to pressure the opponent with a Tiger Nexus, in order to stop them from doing those things, you need to use the light version from the crouching medium punch. This has no gaps. This opens more problems, also some benefits, but we'll see them one by one. The first one you need to know is the overhead. This beats people mashing their 4-framers. The second version is a high that is plus on block. The second version is the forward medium kick, which is plus on block. You're plus enough to throw. And you're +4. So crouching medium punch is a frame trap, same as standing medium punch. You can also do a high-low mix-up with crouching light kick, standing light punch. The final one is only for combos. You're already gonna use it outside of those, and that is forward heavy kick. It is extremely slow, but it is plus on block, I guess. You're not in range for throw. The Tiger Nexus by itself is weak to DI. Depending on how they delay the DI and when, you're either just gonna have to super level 3 through them, or maybe you're gonna be able to recover. It'll depend. Let me show you a few examples. You can hit confirm all 3 versions into super level 3 to survive this. If you end your Tiger Nexus before going into anything, you can wait for the DI and then DI back. Since the Tiger Nexus is -5, ODDPs technically don't punish you here. This is a somewhat 50-50 and also a knowledge check. People that know how to fight Sagat, they will gonna wait and maybe delay their attack. If you want to pressure with fireballs, you need to use the low Tiger shot, either OD or regular one. If you do it from crouching medium punch or crouching heavy punch, you will produce no gaps. You need to be very careful with this, because depending on your spacing, you're gonna be either -5, -6, or -7, and some characters can't punish you here. You can also make it -5 if you do it perfectly. If you don't want to deal with that hassle, you can use the OD version. The OD can be -2, -1, or 0, again depending on spacing. -1, 0. Your pressure tends to end here. You don't have buttons to do anything. However, if they do press something, you can use your standing medium kick or standing heavy punch. If they are standing, you can use your medium fireball or heavy fireball. Ideally, you want the medium one because it's plus on block. You can make this fireball even more plus, but it's kind of difficult, and at that point I don't think it's worth it. If you're gonna use the medium fireball, you're gonna need to do it in their face. And from that +3, you can use a standing light kick to frame trap or crouching medium punch. But if you're super close, you can use a standing medium punch. Forward heavy kick is +4 on block. From here, you can use a standing medium punch or crouching medium punch in order to create frame traps. You're not close enough to throw. If you want to pressure with dry brushes, your best options are dry brush crouching medium kick, dry brush standing medium kick, or even dry brush crouching heavy punch. That is if they're standing and maybe respecting you too much. The final one is mostly using the corner, which is dry brush standing medium punch. This one is +6 on block, which means you can use another one without issues. The spacing of this creates some interesting possibilities for Sagat. Let me show you a few things that are kinda weird with this. Let me show you a string, which creates a little bit of a weird thing with Sagat and dry brush medium punch. There are some gaps here. From the standing medium punch, the second one into standing light punch, there is a gap there, and then from the standing light punch into the light tiger nexus. If the opponent overly respects you, you can get a punish counter if they press before the tiger nexus, or you're gonna be safe. This is mostly a knowledge check. You can also do it like this. You can somewhat space yourself manually with the standing medium punch, a standing light punch, and then tiger nexus. If you do the crouching medium punch into light tiger nexus and you're not close, you will whiff it. This can create some strange situations where the opponent might expect the parry and you can throw them. I don't think I can recommend this, but you can do it if you want. One thing you can do in order to close the gap is to do a dry brush forward light kick. This has a lot of range and you can start your pressure from here from that +1. Try to mix it up and be kinda creative with this. Either do a standing medium punch, micro step throw, standing medium punch, crouching medium punch into the light tiger nexus, medium punch, even a no-D fireball sometimes. The pressure in burnout varies a little bit. Standing medium punch of course is +6, so it's even better. Here you can be even nastier with this thing. Also, the plus frames from the medium tiger nexus, this one, forward medium kick, are +8. Medium tiger knee, up close, is gonna be safe. Heavy, also safe. The light one, depending on how you hit, can be -4, safe, or plus. If they happen to be crouching and you do the heavy one, you're gonna be stupidly plus at +8. All the other tiger knees, you need to do them from afar. If you hit them on your way down, you're gonna be plus. In burnout, your crouching medium punch can go into the medium tiger nexus. There will be no gaps. You can also use the crouching heavy punch into the medium tiger nexus. No gaps. Another important one is the standing heavy kick up close. That has no gaps. Crouching medium punch, crouching heavy punch, and a standing heavy kick up close can go into the OD fireball without gaps in burnout. And you're +10. You can go really crazy with this if you want. That is insane chip damage. You can technically do this with any button, as I said before, but careful with the spacing. That's why standing heavy kick is usually the best one. You can start with crouching medium punch and then keep using the standing heavy kick. I think Sagat has one of the worst overheads in the game. However, if you catch someone, it's gonna be +7. From here, on hit, you can go into crouching medium punch and whatever you want. If someone blocks it, it is gonna be +2. The final thing I want to say about pressure is that you can use your standing light kick as a measuring tool. Also your standing medium kicks. What do I mean by that? If you really want to use your tiger knee, usually if you hit someone with the tip of the standing light kick or medium kick, you're in range to either do the light one or medium one and be safe or plus. And that is if they're standing. If they're crouching, you're gonna be even more plus. Just be careful because your standing medium kick is -3 and your standing light kick is -4. As with his anti-airs, Sagat combo structure is very unique. Let's talk about damages first. Any combo that can go into a back heavy punch, medium fireball is more optimal than any other conversion. That's including heavy Tiger Nexus. $3,101. 2,813. With a few exceptions that I'm gonna show you, don't worry, I would recommend skipping the Tiger Nexus heavy version in combos. But before going into the combo structure and showing some actual combos, there's something we need to talk about. The back heavy punch drive rush. This thing is the stuff of nightmares. It's very hard to get, it is very rewarding, but you can skip it and get mostly similar damages. What is this thing and why it is so difficult? This is mostly used in very specific drive rush combos. Let me show you one. It allows you to combo from the medium fireball into a charged heavy DP. However, that's not the most important thing of it. You can get a perfect heavy tiger knee. You see there are two kinds of tiger knees. The perfect one that allows you to juggle into super level 2 or medium DP, and the imperfect one that only allows you to juggle into light DP. Let me show you each. This is the one that doesn't juggle that much. This one is the perfect one. This is extremely damaging, if you can get it. And also importantly, you can juggle into super level 2. This normally doesn't happen. I wish I could tell you there's an easy way of doing this, but it's very complicated, and the timings also change depending on how you juggle the opponent. Remember what I said about Tiger Nexus? The timing is completely different to the medium fireball. Also, the timing is different if you're in the corner. It really varies and makes Sagat a very complicated character if you really want to max out your combos. So, what most Sagats do in order to not deal with this is just do the medium fireball and then do any other variable. There's also something tricky about this. It might not seem like it, but your combo of crouching medium punch heavy kick, this one, is very, very optimal. That is similar damage. And also talking back to the back heavy punch, there are some DRC combos where you just cannot get it. Very complicated, but I'm gonna try to show you the most common ones. If you really want to do the complicated combo, my recommendation is to start your DRC with crouching medium punch or crouching heavy punch. If that's the case, you can go into the standing medium punch, back heavy punch, medium fireball, and from there you have to calculate the perfect back heavy punch. This is how I do it normally. I wait for Sagat to almost fully recover before going into the drive rush. That was slightly more delayed. Let me show you a corner combo now. That one is way easier, but it has another problem. If that's not enough, we need to talk about the medium fireball. If you do any combo that involves back heavy punch, the medium fireball will connect anywhere on screen. If you're in the corner and you're way too close to the opponent, the back heavy punch can whiff into the medium fireball. This doesn't happen with big bodies. This adds another level of complexity. You need to delay your medium fireball in this case. This is all great because you can still juggle into medium DP, super level 3, or super level 2 immediately. Sometimes super level 1 can whiff. Since you don't have to delay it against big bodies, this doesn't happen. You don't have to worry about that. You can go into super level 1 freely. You can somewhat solve this issue by doing certain combos. For example, a jump in. You don't have to delay it here. Or in certain DRCs that push you a little bit back, this is not an issue. I'm not delaying my medium fireball here, but that is something that is especially difficult to do if you're starting your DRC combo with crouching medium punch or crouching heavy punch and the opponent is in the corner. You're likely gonna be way too close and you will have to delay your medium fireball into medium DP to get the most out of your combo. I know, this is extremely annoying. It's something that is very Sagat in this game. He's a weird dude. Forward heavy kick allows you to go into crouching medium punch. From here, likely your best combo is heavy tiger knee. Pretty good corner carry, very easy to do. You can do it even in combos from a jump in. If you can get the back heavy punch in jump ins, you're gonna do way more damage. You can also do the crouching medium punch, heavy tiger knee in combos that allow you to juggle. This is a safe jump. If you get a jump in and you can confirm into crouching medium punch, heavy kick, then you have an easy combo that is gonna deal a ton of damage. It's worth noting that the crouching medium punch standing heavy kick target combo only goes into supers. The crouching medium punch heavy punch only combos in punish counter or in drive rush. This can give you some easy conversions if you get the punish counter. If you're drive rushing, you can just do it. However, it is not really that optimal. You can do better combos here. Before going into the really good combos, let me show you the ones you can do and the exceptions with Tiger Nexus. One is blocking a drive reversal. The other one that is also pretty optimal is when you get a punish counter and you're cornered. The other one you might want to use is when you're cornered and you get a punish counter DI. Here, you can get a combo that takes the opponent to the other side of the screen. You can do several enders here. Medium DP, super level 1, super level 2, drive rush again. And the final one is a very specific trade when you're super close to the opponent. Let me show you what I mean. For everything else, as I said before at the start of this section, back heavy punch, medium fireball is the most optimal way to combo. If you don't want to spend any drive meter, you can go for the crouching medium punch into heavy DP for even more damage. From the standing medium punch, you're gonna be +6. You can do another one, and then, if you're close of course, standing light punch, medium DP. If you're very close and you get crouching light kick standing light punch, you can cancel the standing light punch into the Tiger Nexus. That being said, that is the light version. In the corner, it's more damaging than going into the medium DP. That only works if the opponent is standing. If they're crouching, you need to go into the overhead and then there's a mix-up with the +3. You can throw, use a standing medium punch, or use another crouching light kick standing light punch. There are some ranges where the medium DP into super level 3 doesn't work. Just be careful about that because it can happen. Crouching medium punch and crouching heavy punch can go into standing medium punch, back heavy punch, medium fireball. Crouching heavy punch is special in this case because you can go into the forward heavy kick, giving you even more damage. If you go for the medium fireball combo, you can do forward heavy kick and then medium tiger knee to be +2. From here, you're in range for throw, standing medium punch if you want to trade, or crouching light kick standing light punch. If you don't want to do any of those, you can use the back heavy punch into heavy tiger knee light DP. It's also pretty optimal. Drive rushing is pretty interesting. If you're close enough, you might get back heavy punch, like crouching medium kick. You're usually +7 or +8, so you can combo into crouching medium punch, just to make the combo a little bit safer. You can do the same thing with standing medium punch. DRCs from lights are obviously weaker. The only one that I can actually recommend is DRCing from crouching light punch or standing light punch and going to a DRC crouching light punch. The same thing applies as any of the other combos. If you're close enough, back heavy punch. If you're not, crouching medium punch into whatever you want. Crouching medium punch combos into the medium target nexus. This allows you to go into certain combos that could be mix-ups and could be very interesting if you really need that +3. With their standing, you can go into the medium kick follow-up of the target nexus. Forward medium kick. Do a medium tiger knee, and you will always be +2. This is particularly damaging in the corner. If the opponent is crouching and you want to go into the tiger nexus for some reason, you need to use a standing heavy kick. You can combo this naturally from drive rush crouching medium punch into the standing heavy kick DRC. That specific standing heavy kick can combo from the first part and the second part into heavy tiger nexus. That is not normally the case. I'm not comboing here, but I do combo here. However, that's a pretty easy combo. If you have it in the corner and you want to use 2 drives of meter, you can use the OD version of Tiger Knee. This combos into light DP at the end, super level 3 if you want, and this is actually extremely optimal, especially if you get a jump in. That is great damage, and you recover a little bit of dry meter at the end. Remember what I said about the standing heavy kick? It actually combos during the first and second hit into the OD version of Tiger Nexus. So if you really need to do some of the follow-ups from the standing heavy kick, you can do it like that. This also combos from down heavy punch. My recommendation here is to use the least amount of drive after, because you're already scaling your combo with OD Tiger Nexus or heavy Tiger Nexus. Keep it short. You can do any of your combos that allow you to go into back heavy punch, medium fireball, and do another DRC into heavy DP or heavy Tiger Knee. As for DRC themselves, use the ones I showed you already. Crouching medium punch, crouching heavy punch, DRC. Using the DRC and the driver's follow-up, you're using 4 dry meters. So use this if you really want to go into super level 3 or super level 2, or you want to do the special combo driver's back heavy punch. If someone is whiffing something and you can react with 4 heavy kick, this is the most optimal route. This is pretty easy to do, and it's 4002. If you go for super level 3 in this case, you're gonna get 6k, specifically 6002. If you don't want to spend the dry meter, you can use forward heavy kick, crouching medium punch into any of the conversions you want. In the corner, I actually recommend using OD Tiger Knee because the damage, again, is pretty ridiculous. There's something funny about the back heavy punch in this case. You're gonna launch them higher than normal. This makes the drive rush back heavy punch a little bit easier to do. Doing the perfect Tiger Knee is a little bit complicated here. This also applies to any of the versions from heavy Tiger Nexus. You also need to do the same thing. This is pretty optimal, but if you want, you can vary this a little by using standing medium punch first and then DRCing. You can do the drive rush back heavy punch here, but it's kinda annoying. I don't actually recommend it, it's very difficult. There are some cases where you just cannot get the forward heavy kick for punishes. In this case, I would recommend just going to the Tiger Nexus. If you DRC from the standing heavy kick, even if you do the most optimal thing, you're gonna be scaling your combo. It's just not worth it. In fact, this is a good moment to just say that DRCs, in particular with Sagat, in punish counters are just really not worth it. You want to get raw dry brushes. Something I didn't mention is that you can actually do this one. This is probably your best conversion using just one bar of super. Super level 2 is pretty damaging here, but you might not want to use it, unless you really want to end the round. This punish counter combo allows you to side switch without using any super or drive. And you're gonna be +5. Another thing that is interesting about the forward heavy kick is that you can do the back heavy punch combo. That being said, you won't be able to dry brush. In order to fix this, you need to do a micro step back heavy punch. Yeah, I know, this adds even more complexity to Sagat. You can solve this by just using a dry brush. Your damage will be scaled, but at least you don't whiff it. This is pretty good damage if you can get used to the micro step. Now that was mid-screen to the other side of the screen. What about corner? Let me show you something that is very simple to do. You can optimize this a bunch. The corner is also interesting because from forward heavy kick in any of your conversions, you can go into the OD fireball. This is one of the most simple and optimal combos you can go for. And you can get more than 6k without burning yourself up here. That being said, that was the perfect tiger knee in the dry brushes. If you're having issues with the perfect tiger knee, you can just do the back heavy punch into the fully charged heavy DP and then super level 3. It's fine, the damage is not bad. Those were of course forward heavy kicks. How about standing heavy kick? But remember, if you get a normal back heavy punch and you're too close, delay your medium fireball if you're playing against normal bodies. Now talking about fancy combos, you can be really fancy over here. That is absolutely not optimal, but sometimes, as Okami says, it's about sending a message. If you hit someone with a DI and they're in the corner, you can do this combo. Or this one if you want to keep the Oki going. You can also do this one. You can do the super level 3 from the back heavy punch. As for stun combos, you can do this one too. You can optimize it a little bit more with dry brushes. Of course, if you really want to fully meteor dump, you can do so. You can combo into your super low one from the OD medium tiger shot. In the corner, you can really go crazy with this thing. OD low fireball normally doesn't combo into anything, however in the corner you can get a sweep. And you can even get it from places where you might think you can't. Super level 1 is also a very strange anti-air. If you really want to use a super as anti-air, super level 1 is actually not bad. Super level 2 has 4 variables. You can combo from any juggle, provided you're close enough. In the corner, you can usually get it from any combo that involves a forward heavy kick. If you do the medium fireball combo, usually it whiffs. Super level 1 is the only one that will connect correctly over here. That being said, you can use any of the combos I showed previously and use the DRC into it. If you need to do the super level 2, remember that this target combo deals less damage than this target combo. That is the raw super level 2. Let's talk very briefly about the super level 2 that side switches. There's not much to say. It's usually not worth it, because by the time you're finishing your combo, you might be already mid-screen or you already have them close to the other one. The one that gives you Oki, the down version, is pretty decent. You have some follow-ups over here, but we're gonna talk about those in the Oki section. The final one is the forward one, and this is interesting in several ways. Remember the combo that was a punish counter DI from corner to corner? You can save one of the rotations of the drive rush and use super level 2 instead. What is also interesting about that specific super is that it always gives you the drive rush perfect back heavy punch into heavy tiger knee. However, you might not want to go for that route unless you have it in the corner. Super level 3 can be used to end your combos and do maximum damage, but also fight the fireball war. Super level 2 can technically be used in the same way, but the range is way shorter. As for anti-airing, and it's not because they don't work, it's just not worth going for that much meter when you can use them in different ways. Safe jump is basically jumping forwards heavy punch. It's also pretty good corner carry. Be careful as always with the usual suspects: Honda, JP, Marisa, and well, Zangief. If you think Zangief is gonna go for the super level 3, you have to hold up for dear life. Any of the combos that involve forward heavy kick, you can do medium tiger knee afterwards, and that's a +2. If the opponent is standing and you go for the light tiger knee, you then can go into the heavy tiger knee for a meaty one. The meaty tiger knees are not weak to the eyes. If the opponent is crouching, it will only work if you're super close. If you really want to go for this one, you can use a standing heavy kick to re-stand and then go for it. Of course, all meaty tiger knees are very easy to react to with supers or reversals. If you do get a heavy tiger knee meaty in the corner, you can get a light DP afterwards. Heavy tiger knee by itself is pretty interesting. It gives you a +41. And I have to thank Panda Commander for discovering this. You can use crouching light kick and then use OD tiger shot. This one will hit meaty. If they get hit by this, you can do a forward heavy kick and then do a combo. You can get the same thing with the standing medium kick target combo, or the standing heavy punch target combo. If they block it, frames vary. -4 here, if you're super close. +6 here. If you're far, you can get a plus OD fireball. You can technically do this without meter. In order for you to do that, you need to use the medium fireball. The issue with this is that they have to be standing. They can use a crouching attack and you will be beaten here, or maybe even a reversal. The same can be applied to the OD fireball one, by the way. Tiger Nexus is usually punishable, unless you use the OD one or the heavy one. You can use certain sequences for this to not happen. This is one of them. You can even do this one, but it requires perfect spacing with the crouching medium punch. The interesting thing here is that you can end your string and not go for the Tiger Nexus. And then punish the crouching light punch within. If you go into the Tiger Nexus, however, you're gonna get a very specific Tiger Nexus, the counter hit one, which works in the same way as the punish counter one. It allows you to juggle better, go into different combos, and even get better Oki. That one is gonna be +51 compared to the regular one. That means that if you go for your medium Tiger Knee, you're gonna be even more plus. In the corner, you do more damage too. Because you can go into the medium Tiger Uppercut instead of the light one. It is pretty easy to hit confirm too. You can go into the overhead and then medium Tiger Uppercut. Now the best one by far is of course go for the forward heavy kick, the launcher. Here you can go into any of your follow-ups of the Tiger Nexus. Crouching medium punch into the light Tiger Nexus has no gap. If the opponent is just mashing, they might get a superhero the reversal. If you commit to it, remember that the overhead is the only one that beats normals. That is +25, you can dash and be +2. If the opponent is standing and you go for any of your Tiger Nexus into the medium follow-up, you get Oki with medium Tiger Knee. If you're +2 next to the opponent, remember that you're standing medium punch straight with 4 frames, and you can go into the standing heavy kick. The buttons you're gonna use the most to kill frames after DPs or other sequences are your lights. Let me show you a few ideas for you to kill frames and get some stuff. Sagat has a throw loop, but he needs to use the dry brush. You can do a bunch of things here, but be careful with the standing heavy punch. Also, your overhead is pretty freaking slow. You do have some meaty overheads. Forward light kick is a pretty interesting 50-50 tool. +3 on block means you can go for a throw if you're close, standing medium punch, or crouching light kick, standing light punch, as a way of mixing up the opponent. Dry brush is +1. So your only option, technically, in terms of frame trap, is crouching light punch. Super level 2, holding down gives you a pretty interesting Oki. You can go for an overhead that beats 4 frames. You can also do a micro step standing medium punch. You can also do a micro step throw. However, the Oki really shines with dry brush. Pretty good okay, I have to say. If you're over here, that means you watched the entirety of the guide or you just jumped to this section. I appreciate it nonetheless. This guide has taken a lot of time to make. I'm going to do a similar updated one for Zangief, so don't worry, it's going to come. More information about Sagat is going to be made available in the Siberia Lab in the future. More tech for Zangief, and in the future, a lot of things for Alex. Some of you guys have asked about an anti-Sagat guide. That's going to come in the future too. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you really like this video. The Siberia Lab on Twitch is also available. And the Discord, where we discuss fighting games, is also pretty fun. Thanks as always, take care of yourselves, hydrate, and I hope I can see you next time. Bye bye.